And I like that you pick up Tingz because he does kind of feel like the anchor still, right? He's still in that mid role. He's playing the Thoth pick, a kind of pick that can very much carry, and he did a lot of the heavy lifting for this Mouse roster as well, and at least keeping this one close between the two of them. So I like that you bring that up. They're going to be looking a lot towards him, especially here as we move into game 2 and those picks and bans, trying to make sure that he doesn't let Dignitas get too far out of control in this game. But I mean, after just a slugfest that we saw there in game 1, how does Mouse recover and regroup here in game 2? Well, it's by taking away the Morgan from Zyrhoes. I agree.
That's always a good place to start.
Yeah.
Cannot fault that one in the slightest there from Mouse. They're the ones in the first pick position. I wouldn't be too surprised if they maybe tried to lean a little bit towards Cherryo. No, in fact, they're going to like to ban away the Cherryo. Not all that interested in Dardez, I guess, playing it. I am curious as to whether or not this might be alluding to a Baron first pick.
Yeah, perhaps that's still available for them as well. I wouldn't be surprised if they want to try and grab that one up. There's still, some pretty high value picks. Arkkyl is still out there if they want to grab that for themselves, but it looks like that's not going to be the call. Baron going to be picked up first selection here from Mouse. Likely going to be going over to the solo lane, I imagine, for Nika. Still some flex potential. Maybe Tingz wants it. But yeah, I mean, that's just going to happen. QvoFred's going to now have Arkkyl.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's the motto, especially for Qvo. And I can't... what more could you possibly want? He just had a killer performance on Arkkyl in game 1, and now he's given the opportunity to have a repeat? It's basically an encore.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I would have given it to him.
I would have probably preferred to see Mouse take away the Arkkyl, but... I also am not entirely certain as to how I feel about FrostiaK playing Arkkyl.
Maybe he's not 100% confident on it at this level. It's a high execution pick. You absolutely have to be perfect with it. And maybe it's not what they want, right? If they want like some big burst mage waiting for like the Naja setup on the back end, right? Maybe Arkkyl doesn't set it up quite the same way. So there's a lot of reasons why they might not want to grab that one for themselves. But I'm also curious, maybe ban Arkkyl, pick Cherryo for yourself in that spot or something like that. But QvoFred has it one more time. We'll see if it ends up being that big difference maker.
One thing I'm already noticing, though, is that this is a rather finicky position for Mouse here because they have the Naja, which is an ideal selection choice for FrostiaK, obviously, but Arkkyl, Amma, Soul, all excellent gods for dealing with a Naja in terms of Soul has to disapparate. That's going to help her to prevent a lot of that Windfire and Wheels damage so long as she's able to proc that in time before she gets sash ulted. If that's even the case, I think even just trying to get a sash ult onto Soul in the first place is problematic enough as is.
Absolutely.
Amaterasu as well, strong disengage tools, great chase down potential as well, and interrupt factors that Naja would have to try and deal with. And we all know how mobile and annoying a Arkkyl can be. That's
an absolute perfect point, that these are kind of some tough matchups for FrostiaK if that is going to be the route they're going, as Rom comes in. A bit of an Arkkyl special, this Rom feels like. Not that everyone else doesn't also play it, but it's one of those picks that he's very strong on, always lands the snipes, and is very strong in lane with it. So we'll see how that ends up working for Dignitas as Discordia and Susano come in. So now this is interesting. Are we going to be seeing Cherryo on the Naja now and Baron in the support role? Where are these picks going to be going?
Naja support, Susano for the jungle, and Baron in the solo lane for Nika. That feels... because that's just their signature gods. FrostiaK as a killer Susano, that's probably one of his better go-tos.
Right.
Naja, I think it's pretty flexible between Cherryo and FrostiaK, but they probably just want a lot of hyper pressure. I'm not too certain, though. The one thing I don't like, if it is Naja support in that case, is I am not sold on Naja Jingwei because it's like you have one aspect that's like crazy heavy pressure in dual lane, and then you've got the Jingwei who's like the exact opposite of that at the start.
So we'll see how well those end up synergizing together. You're right, these are picks they're comfortable on. I gotta see how it all gels together. They do have control. I feel like even though they're missing the Warrior and the Guardian, Susano's control heavy, so is Naja, so is Baron. So those tools are available, but are they gonna have the frontline presence? Kind of becomes the question. Does that raise a question mark for you all at home and Mixer chat? You still want to vote for Mouse? Are you feeling like maybe you're going to vote for Dignitas? This is your chance to let us know what you think right now in that poll.
The best defense is a good offense.
It's going to have to
be. That's the mentality for Mouse. They don't have a choice. It's kill or get killed.
That really is going to be the call here from mousesports. I'm excited to see how this one ends up working. Let's go ahead and get into Game 2. Can Mouse upset Dignitas? Casters, take it away.
I'm excited about this one too, Finch. mousesports have put a very squishy yet survivable, escapable composition together here against Dignitas with a pretty standard draft.
It's a very single target pick composition mousesports have committed with Cherryo on this Naja. FrostiaK has to set up BigManTingz in a big way with that pull into the Strife combination, but Cherryo very aggressive on this Naja, known for his aggression from time to time. Doesn't surprise me that he's playing this god, but what doesn't surprise me is that Dignitas go for Amaterasu, and they're the ones now controlling the lane.
In all fairness, if you actually just closed your eyes and didn't know who was playing in which position, you'd think this was the same mouse roster from last week. Because, well, basically Dardez will play anything in the dual lane already, so no real surprise to see Mouse going back to it. They do stop Dignitas doing the purple buff completely, which is very important there. 20% of fans, though. Bit of confidence here in the Mouse squad.
A little bit, but Dignitas should still be able to get that lane pressure. These astral arrows with some extra physical power from Amaterasu's aura allows the clear to just continue. And still stripping away the 2 little purple minions gives Dignitas that level 2 advantage now to go for round 2.
QvoFred, though, got back to that circuit one more time round, and I wonder if he's going to set the pace once more. He focused a lot on the duo lane in the early game, where Dignitas needed the help. This time round, though, most of his lanes are going to actually pressure. So is this going to be maybe Qvo focusing on the jungle position a bit more?
We'll see, but pressuring in the dual lane, Dardez is forced to sprint away, but it's not enough. Arkkyl with a last hit.
Upgraded early sprint, heavenly agility, I should say, for Trixtank, and that just allowed Arkkyl to penetrate with all those arrows.
Oh, yeah.
Even though Cherryo was trying to body block, it wasn't good enough, and the slows won't make an impact from the ring toss if you've got sped up. Great first blood for Dignitas, turning around what happened in game 1.
It doesn't matter if Arkyl's playing the Izanami or the Ram, he's going to be shooting through whoever he wants, when he wants. Arkkyl holding on to that even after the sprint, applying some additional slows. It's such a good lead now, being able to get 14 more stacks than Dardez 2 minutes into the game.
And they're going to get the oracles as well, which is just a bit more gold you get on the second rotation if you get the purple buff. You can head forward towards the middle area. Just give yourself a bit more bonus gold towards hitting 5 a little bit quicker, hopefully in time for when you may see the jungler's first rotation.
This is going to be important for FrostiaK to find a way to alleviate some pressure now in this dual lane, because Cherryo, very low now. He has to back momentarily without any more health chalice stacks. No real sustain to speak of on the Guardian's Blessing. This could be Dignitas going for a second kill.
I will back you up though, Charlie, what you're saying. Like, it does feel like a very pick comp from mousesports here. They've got individual damage, which is great. Team fight wise, I mean, you've got FrostiaK's ultimate and maybe Nika's and the Apple too, but they all really focus on one.
Oh, FrostiaK is in a whole bunch of trouble there. His beats was just a little bit too late. Didn't have the cooldowns required to get away. Variety is going to be able to assist that one with a great crippling minefield.
Yeah, beautiful timing, really, from Dignitas, who were in the enemy jungle at the blue buff spawning, trying to take that one away from Nika to limit his mana pool and also deny FrostiaK some farm, as Tingz will secure his own red buff, I believe, there just in time. Variety, though, now level 5 on this RTO.
Both Nika and Variety desperately needing their own blue buffs, as they are very heavily spam-centric gods between RTO and Baron Samedi.
Yeah.
You have to be looking for any poke that you can.
Oh, Apple to the face of Zyrhoes here, and has to use it to separate, but he ends it early, and he didn't realize FrostiaK was waiting for the cleanup. FrostiaK gets the kill. Zyrhoes with a trip back to base.
Oh, really unfortunate stuff for the soul mid lane out of Dignitas. Going to have to just wait a little bit longer, and this is going to allow Big Man to try to back now and maybe finish off his Book of Thoth sooner than he would normally expect.
Yeah, it was a good little play from Big Man, to be honest. Just finds the route and just instantly throws the apple out. A lot of people don't do that. They just kind of like, well, I should hold this for a big team fight and not just the damage in the early game.
Yeah, well, but when you're like this early in the laning phase, there's not going to be too many team fights or too many opportunities to look for picks onto Zyrhoes. So whether or not that was going to be a kill, that was guaranteed damage to the point where Zyrhoes would be at about 20% health threshold. And as a soul player, you got to be thinking twice about even staying in the mid lane. So a technical kill might have been forcing him to back.
Well, Zero started off with a tiny trinket here on the soul. We've seen a little bit more of the Bancroft's talent coming back again. For a while, it kind of drifted. It took a little bit of a nerf to it, and since then, everyone kind of moved away. But it seems to be a different story now as people looking at Bancroft once more. Variety!
Oh, I love this play coming out of Nika.
That was
Maximum vacuumage. FrostiaK gets another kill.
Vacuumage? Yeah. I like that word. That's the best way. It's better than the way Tom's way of describing it.
Sure. We're not going to talk about that.
Oh, we're not? Okay.
So the pull.
What are we talking about?
We're going to talk about how good Nika's ultimate was. That's what we're going to talk about. Because he literally stopped it at the last possible moment before the stun occurred, allowed Variety to just disengage for a moment, and then pulled him back in.
Still got his dash as well, which is the most impressive. I actually think Variety may have escaped with his dash if it wasn't for the knockup from FrostiaK's ultimate.
Possible.
Yeah, it was very, very close, but nicely played from mousesports again. Especially, this is what you're looking for in FrostiaK's position of, well, all these lanes are getting pushed up consistently, so we should be looking, if Dignitas is going to play up in these lanes, to look for the pressure.
And this is where an aggressive mindset can really bite you. QvoFred gonna pull Nika a little bit closer, and the last breath, it's up to Dignitas to return the favor.
Maybe just enough damage from Variety at the end. QvoFred's poison will tick to get him the kill with that last breath. As Arkkyl now getting 2v1'd. And an airstrike from Dardez secures that one. Mouser just going toe-to-toe with Dignitas here.
Cherryo might not have the most lane pressure in the world, but he definitely has a lot of kill potential when you take the enemy hunter into the sky. No even opportunity to go into the sky for Arkkyl on his own ultimate, as Dardez even committed the airstrike.
Taco did mention on the desk at the start of set one of, like, you know, when you do make these roster changes, everyone feels pretty good about it, you know, to start off with. Like, what's the worst that can happen? We lose, but we get the experience, we get the knowledge of how we play as a team. You've been on a few teams before, Totally. Like, what is it like with a roster change? Is this kind of the mentality that happens?
It's about how you make changes, because one little roster change can affect the whole team's like spirit individually. It could change their style completely in order to allow it to mesh more smoothly.
Cherryo under a bit of pressure here, but Trixtank pretty low on mana. Sprint was pops, and the rollout was better from Arkkyl to close the gap. Dardez still boxing away, doesn't have his ultimate to escape this, as now Arkkyl trying to get his ult back off for a kill in response, but Trixtank gets a double kill as he turns up to the dual lane at the right sort of time.
This is the old Season 2 Trixtank, being able to last hit some of these kills at the very end of it, and I'm not too mad about it considering he's playing the Amaterasu that has a lot of carry potential. A fed Amaterasu at the support role is going to make things really dicey for Mouse.
And you talked about Spirit a little bit with roster changes. I mean, this team's, you know, made 3 little switches, so the Spirit's going to be like, well, we're all in new positions, so we get to experiment a bit. Sure, everything's not going to go perfect straight away, but clearly they seem pretty confident in this change. And they're playing out well.
I think so. I think mousesports have made a necessary change to guide them for the best future that they could allow themselves. Not necessarily to get into the top 2 for avoiding placements, but maybe to qualify to HRX through the placements.
Yeah, definitely a very uphill task, and even one that may be insurmountable to try and get in the top 2 now with how their season's gone so far. But a late run towards the top 3 could be pretty beneficial for them in terms of seeding and who they have to face in the placement rounds for the World Championships.
Because 3 and 4 face SML teams, 5 and 6 face international teams, so that goes a long way.
It will help them out there. So 8 kills in 8 minutes, a little bit quicker in terms of the kill threshold this time than the 50-minute game that we just went through here. And Mouse still even keel. A little bit of a lead for Dignitas, granted, thanks to the first blood and the bonus gold they got from that.
Still a very comfortable lead for Dignitas. Not that much of a lead in the last game. It was very back-and-forth action. A very slow staggered action without too many objectives, and the positioning of Cherryo bouncing between middle and the left-hand side looks to show me that he's looking to set up some of these plays on the Naja, going for the reinforced Greaves as opposed to what a lot of Najas like to do in the Traveler shoes.
With what we've seen out of Cherryo this game as well, do you expect Cherryo to be taking like damage, well, prime targets out of combat for setup potential, or just take a frontliner out, like just make them out of the fight so they can't get involved? What's the better strategy here?
I think it's better to just get Zyrhoes out of the fight entirely. Getting Zyrhoes out of the fight as FrostiaK. This time, Zyrhoes will commit to the full duration.
Alive!
Oh, man.
Still
Zyrhoes
survived. So the sash connected, but the damage didn't follow up, and now the turnaround is here as Trixtank takes down FrostiaK after all the investment. But Cherryo didn't give up. He still waited for Zyrhoes to base and finds the kill in response.
Great jungler presence. Cherryo, you might switch the jungle role out of him, but you can't do the opposite. Cherryo now really running away with the sprint and hitting the ring bounces, trying to juke for as long as he can, but he can't avoid all of them.
Good airstrike out from Dardez, though. Timed Arkkyl's jump down to perfection. Connects with that, so kills everywhere. Very scrappy first 10 minutes of the game. relatively even still as everybody's dying and living.
11 kills in less than 10 minutes of play. Both these teams are feeling very confident after that first game. You know, they're warmed up now, Hindu Man, for game number 2.
Oh, yeah, warmed up a little bit more so, because I don't think either of them want to go, well, what was it, 50 minutes with 15 kills pretty
Something
much from
like
how that went?
It wasn't too many, but Dignitas certainly knows how to end games properly.
Nika needs some help here. Going to use the life of the party, pull Variety under the tower, but look at that. Arkkyl has the ability to just dash straight out of it. If you can just hold onto the dash, basically.
It's a long dash out of Variety's RDO, and there's also Vamana that has a very lengthy dash.
But that's the thing when a new god comes out, right, Tolly, is that everyone's going to kind of learn what the tricks are to deal with him. We saw Sobek when Baron was first released, dealing with him in the solo lane, and now we're seeing a bit more of this RTO instead that seems to have a good answer to it.
I mean, you could also do the Sobek treatment on RDO and just dash offensively onto Nika if you really want to. Get off the damage,
just
get stunned as well. That's another possibility.
Trixtank.
No mana.
I'm going to get ulted, but where's the follow-up damage? There's Dardez looking for the autos, but he doesn't have the damage to bring him down. No airstrike was available, and that's the awkwardness I feel with this Najjar, is where the follow-up's going to come from. It's going to be pinpoint every single time with the abilities that Mouse have to back it up.
It's got to be BigManTingz there, but he's still farming up in the mid lane. It's too early for him to make these rotations from time to time, but mousesports gonna force out a Gold Fury.
I was gonna say, talking about early, 2 men on the Gold Fury, slashing from Cherryo onto Arkkyl. Arkkyl has to take to the sky. Gold Fury reset. Up, down from Arkkyl, and BigManTingz gets a nice little purple carpet of death onto Zyrhoes to keep him in check too.
Arkkyl was really afraid that the capitalization was about to occur. FrostiaK juking out one and the second. Not going to be able to lock down the slippery Susanoo.
Good little jukes from FrostiaK there to avoid the damage out of Kivo, who's looking to just... They find a pick there, they could potentially look towards that Gold Fury themselves.
And the beats are not available from FrostiaK. Still 10 more seconds. If that Cobra's Kiss connects, that's going to be one dead Susanoo. Speaking of dead players, Nika does not have any life left in him.
Well, he didn't have any lifesteal available for himself either after that last breath. I think that ultimate out of QvoFred was perfectly timed. FrostiaK is here though, looking to try and defend the blue that's on cooldown. Beach used early by QvoFred. No ultimate available, but a juke back over from FrostiaK is beautiful.
Could be trouble. Cobra's Kiss being used.
Much.
There goes the stun. FrostiaK. Stormcada's away.
He's
Variety. I thought he had the cooldowns, but I guess he didn't. He could have maybe transformed to Druid and looked for the roof, but still, getting FrostiaK that low forces him back to base.
Grand scheme of things though, good news is FrostiaK saved his beads there at least. Going back at the jungle's a little bit risky for my liking. Stepping on a ward as he does so that Dignitas have deep in this jungle. Luckily enough though, no one going to be around to punish him for this decision.
Not
it's a very risky one.
Very, I would say, but the speed buff's coming up, so no harm, no foul. Even though there was a ward from Dignitas, they all backed on out. Variety, without too much mana to really play with, to leave the laning phase. If you leave the laning phase to look for the kill, well, now you have no mana for the wave.
Trixtank going for the Gauntlet of Thebes this game, 19 stacks deep there. Cherryo, though, with the Sovereignty. Support builds this split have been kind of all over the place. There's no cookie-cutter builds in any role, so to speak. Now it's kind of God-specific and comp-specific, too.
Cherryo has the better power spike for now, but I think Trixtank has the better power spike within the next 3 minutes. What Gauntlet of Thebes has been completed, because you're going to get more physical and magical defense from this one item as opposed to Sovereignty only giving you physical defense.
Interesting to see FrostiaK going for that Transcendence next item as well. Cherryo caught in an awkward spot, but he gets his ultimate up into the sky. The apple missed because of that, and now Cherryo being surrounded and run down like a dog by 3 members of Dignitas. QvoFred and Variety, we're keeping Big Man busy, and Big Man's still alive!
No vision for Arkkyl for the 3rd strike. Unfortunate, but still, BigManTingz has to back. So it's a 5-on-3 for Dignitas if they want to start this Gold Fury.
Yeah, a couple of minions causing a problem for Variety there, so he can't just rotate straight towards that. But now he'll catch FrostiaK and Dardez. Looks for the root and the slowdown damage. FrostiaK channels the ultimate early, and that will force a reset out of Dignitas. Frosty trying to get away, jumps towards it, pulls in Variety, dances away one more time. Still, all that stands is the Gold Fury, and no one's going to take it.
Dignitas don't want to commit to it quite yet without too many ultimates on their side. QvoFred still has his own ultimate, so the last breath could be powerful on that one. No real follow-up from the great control that Variety did onto FrostiaK, and this is what makes RDO so powerful against the Susanoo player. FrostiaK known for his Susanoo, Dignitas respect that, pick the RDO.
Yeah, Susanoo as well, pretty impactful this game so far, at least, with how this has been going for the new jungler representing mousesports today. The gold is still about the same as it was, well, about 10 minutes ago. If anything, it was an 1,100 gold lead then, it's 1,300 now, but it's been a seesaw every single time. Mouse finds something, Dig finds something. Mouse finds something, Dig finds something.
No real lead to speak about in the 15 minutes, just kind of waiting for this next Gold Fury team fight, which could favor either team, honestly, if Cherryo lands it on the right target. You can't be pulling Trixtank up in the sky if you're Cherryo, because you're going to experience the same exact thing like last time. Supernova, it's a whole heap of damage that you don't want to be a part of. Whereas you'd much rather go for Arkkyl or Zyrhoes. They're super squishy.
Talking about Zyrhoes, him and BigManTingz in the mid lane. A little bit more farm this game for those two mid laners. A lot of the farm was going towards Dardez and Arkkyl last game, but the supports have kind of hung around the jungle lane a little bit more so during these first 15 minutes. Ooh, that was a close slash for Zyrhoes there, but he still managed to get his disapparate anyway. And that's the risk that Zyrhoes is going to take every single time stepping up to this wave, is these sashes from Cherryo that we're looking to set up his team.
Well, that's kind of the name of the game of Soul. You kind of play with fire. No pun intended there, actually.
Yeah, there was.
No pun intended, I swear. I'm not that good. But Morrigan is kind of his style, but Soul has also been known for him back in former seasons when actually everyone liked Soul in the mid lane, being able to play super safe, going for that Celestial Legion helmet rush back then, but this time around, it's going to be the Bancroft.
Trixtank under a lot of pressure, juggled in the air, gets his ultimate off in time. Can he avoid the apple off the wall? He jumped into it! Trixtank, no! Oh, he had to use his shell because that would have been fail of the century if that happened there. Trixtank survives, but Mouse do what they needed to. They get the Gold Fury after forcing Trixtank to run away.
Some objects might appear closer than they seem, unfortunately.
Especially when you're dashing towards it.
Oh, yeah. If you don't have vision right behind you, a little happy accidents might happen like that.
Credit where it's due, BigManTingz calculated that to perfection. He knew exactly what was going to happen. Come on. Give him the credit. So he banked it off the wall.
So you called Matt Yankee a specific term. Is there anything you want to call BigManTingz after that play?
Lucky.
There's no such thing as lucky, man.
You really don't believe that?
No.
I do.
It's when opportunity meets preparation.
But I don't prepare and I feel lucky.
Then you're a fool.
I agree with that. I'm not denying that a little bit. I never said I wasn't. Still lucky, though. I'm a lucky fool. Like a court jester. Zyrhoes gets slashed in mid, and once again has to disapparate, but the purple carpet from Tingz did hit Trix and forces him back. Trix is happy to hit the first CC and then look to disengage straight away, it feels like. Last time where he nearly got picked was because of that, but Mouse here on the offensive. They get a gold, see a window, and take the Pyro down too.
Because Arkyl's just split pushing on the left side, getting himself the tier 1 tower. The pick-me-up steroid being used. Jingwei passive could allow Dardez to potentially defend, but look who's around the corner. QvoFred could look for this trap.
Dardez is actually charging in, looking for the fight, and Dardez doesn't know what's going on until it's too late. Welcome to the Hunter position, Dardez. That's what junglers do.
Uh-oh, FrostiaK could be running into a trap as well because Trixtank is right on his tail. Pull only onto QvoFred, and he tried to do that little trick of the Typhoon blink, but not long enough, unfortunately. Dignitas get the tier 2 tower.
Apple nearly hits Qvo, jukes it out, but BigManTingz invested everything going forward. Luckily, he gets support from FrostiaK and Cherryo, but Trixtank gonna stun FrostiaK as much as possible. Still alive as Trix gets low too. Variety and Zyrhoes join the fray.
Going for round 2, barely avoiding the supernova. It's gonna be FrostiaK. Variety wants no part of that party out of Nika. Dignitas walking away like bandits after the tier 2 tower.
Only Dardez fell in that whole engagement as everybody on both teams ended up funneling to this tier 2 on the left-hand side. So that tier 2 answers back a Pyro and a bit of the gold?
Pretty much. Dignitas still controlling the lead. Rather convincingly, I would say. 3,000 gold, 18 minutes in, 4,000 experience to follow suit. And it's all about shutting down FrostiaK. Variety has been doing such a good job.
Yeah, FrostiaK's been trying to dance around a little bit more so now. Working towards his stacks on that Transcendence at 10 so far. Once that does hit critical mass, he'll get some extra cooldown reduction for his pleasure.
Not too shabby for ability-based character such as Susanoo that really relies on some of the scaling between Typhoon, 3 strikes of the Storm Kata. That might even allow him to evaluate and commit for that 3rd strike.
Cherryo in the mid lane getting a bit aggressive with Trixtank. Those two are going to keep bouncing backward and forward. But the right-hand side, Nika and Dardez pinned under the tier 1. As Dignitas start to swarm around the Fire Giant area.
Not wanting to go too deep into the Fire Giant pit. They're just wanting to look for some of these picks to maybe get a tier 1 tower. It's very low, less than 50% health. 500 gold. Wouldn't hurt Dignitas to just grab it.
Dash in on from Trixtank towards Big Man, just keeping him in check more than anything else. It's a good little test for both of them, really. How much damage can Trixtank do and how much can he force him out? Zyrhoes, though, so Variety, I should say, forcing out Dardez and Nika to get that tier 1 tower. They're all stripped now. As Dignitas just keep finding this global gold.
Backline, BigManTingz in a whole bunch of trouble.
Got him.
Can't hide against the dazzling offensive Arkkyl with the snipes.
QvoFred and FrostiaK going at it, though. Ult for ult is going to be exchanged here. Qvo will get away for the time being, and FrostiaK unable to find an answer back to BigManTingz falling in the jungle.
That's really unfortunate there because QvoFred only needed the blink last breath to make it happen there, and he's able to just walk away cleanly with that Deathbane ambush. That's what makes Cherryo just such a strong pick, and it's QvoFred that heavily prefers this style, which is why they banned it against him, I believe, in the first. Oh, no, sorry, that's why Dignitas first pick it in the very first game.
And this one's very interesting too, because like game 1 was all farm, everyone's level 20, everyone's full build, we get a game. This one is fight, fight, no one's full build, no one's level 20, approaching 21 minutes in.
Cherryo forced to sprint and use that ultimate defensively. About a couple of seconds as Dignitas was forced to reset that Fire Giant. They might go back onto it if they're feeling it, but it's going to wait for a different time.
They had the wall coverage, but they didn't have vision of where everybody was on the map, and if the engagement from Mouse was going to be available there. So instead, go back to farming just a hair more. Nika will get his own blue buff on this right-hand side, and he's also picked up the Gem of Isolation, which I think is very useful on Baron.
Oh, absolutely. With a little bit of cooldown reduction, it's all about spamming that out. Dignitas, I think that time is now for them. They're even doing this without variety.
Wow, this is just... Caught with your pants down, Mouse. Nobody knew what was going on. You can see by Cherryo's turn out. Are they on fire? Oh, wait.
Too late.
It's already down.
Look at the vision on the map. All that triangular formation.
We lost sentries.
Dignitas. Yep. That's how you know a team is prepared like that.
And I think last game, I think that's one of the reasons Dignitas are picking up the pace a little bit more so here as well. Like, not second-guessing themselves as much and being as patient. Although Mouse is still going toe-to-toe in the team fights, I'd say. Yes, the scoreline is 5-10, but I still think Mouse are giving as good as they get so far.
They've been pulling their own, I'd say. It's not like we're counting them out by any stretch of the imagination on the defensive front, because if BigManTingz hits a 2-man strife, then applies the Madness effect, that could allow Arkkyl to destroy Zyrhoes, or vice versa. Like a soul hitting a Ram and vice versa could stop Dignitas right in their tracks.
Scorpio is going to go down just by Arkkyl on this left-hand side. Now the rest of the team of Dignitas kind of split across the map. Qvo wanted to make sure that Mouse can't be split pushing and getting a free tier 1 tower. There's only 2 tier 2 towers remaining for Mouse to defend, but they may get picked up in the jungle. I thought for a second as Trix was just walking around there.
Very possible with Variety going for a blink. I think this is just a style that Variety likes to go, whether it's Terra, whether it's Ardeo. The blink engages out of a soul lane makes it even scarier. Doesn't really matter if it's Guardian or Warrior.
Yeah, I mean, both of them are just going to blink in and CC up and take tower aggro more than anything
Forcing
else.
the beans out of FrostiaK prevents FrostiaK from even being aggressive the way he normally would be expected to from his teammates.
Variety in the mid lane going to push the tier 2 tower down there. Nobody there to defend as it is. mousesports starting to group up a little bit heavier on the right-hand side. But Dig played it very slow on that right-hand side, actually, realizing the Variety had a window, so he gets a few pokes down onto the tier 2 in mid, and Dignitas starts to transfer their attention to this mid lane.
Oh, nice sneaky play. It was Trixtank identifying where FrostiaK was going, makes that call out, and now a tier 2 tower without any sort of contention, as mousesports just have to give that up and would be rather more concerned about defending the right side of the map.
You know what? I would have liked to see Mouse go aggressive on the right-hand side a little bit more, especially seeing Variety, Trix, and Qvo all in the middle lane. They left both their carries alone to defend themselves on this right-hand side, and they had a man advantage or two here that could have been impactful. Instead, tier 2 falls, next one on the list.
I don't know how you catch up to Dignitas, though, with the Amaterasu aura, so as long as they're not committing to this tower, mousesports can never catch up to Dignitas at the end of the day. Trixtank goes into the backline, forcing out the apple and the life of the party.
But he gets pulled in by that life of the party, and the follow-up damage is there. Trixtank falls down first. Tier 2 does fall, however, Zyrhoes bites off more than he can chew, and FrostiaK will clean him up. Following along with Arkkyl, who's just trying to thread that needle, and finally Variety picks up the kill, and the chase is on from Mouse here.
Oh, Cherryo gets the kill onto QvoFred. It's only Variety and Arkkyl against 4 up in the sky, dropping some of the barrages, forcing out the airstrike, but all 4 members onto Arkkyl, and he's going to fall.
So Arkkyl falls and only Variety survives. What can Mouse do in response? They didn't lose a Phoenix here. A lot of towers. Every tower of Dignitas is still standing. It's at least some global goal back if they can get some of these down.
This should be a split push where they get tier 1 mid, tier 1 in the right-hand side, easy peasy. Variety could stop Cherryo, though. I
think they're going to get left for free as well, thanks to that minion wave, luckily enough. So there's the dream scenario, I'd say. Tier 1's going to fall down on the left and right at the same time. But with Variety being mid, it may be a bit trickier for Cherryo to get that. Tier 2 maybe for those boys?
Maybe.
No.
1,000 gold between those 2 towers as mousesports. Don't lose any Phoenixes. Very important on this first Fire Giant Siege attempt from Dignitas.
8k lead though. 8,000 gold for Dignitas thanks to those towers. And that's after the 2 ally towers fall down in response, after the good defense out from them. What exactly went wrong for Dignitas there? Was it Trix just going a little bit too deep?
I think they got caught by that Typhoon. Everyone from Dignitas were flooding in right on that side of the wall. Very clean-up crew was FrostiaK with a Typhoon, a lot of damage. It was difficult for Trixtank to really be effective. Trixtank did fall very quickly, yeah, but it's not as if he didn't absorb a lot of abilities for the rest of his team. It's just the fact that it took too long to kill FrostiaK. Arkkyl a little bit off the mark with some of his shots, and on top of that, also getting Zyrhoes out of the equation relatively quickly didn't hurt.
Well, Arkkyl is top of the player damage now, 14,500 player damage for him. Dardez, though, not doing too bad for himself and his new Hunter position at 12,500 too, so not too far behind. And those Hunters is where you start to turn your attention to in the later stages of the game. They've both, well, I was going to say they've both gone for crit, but it's actually just going to be Dardez here. Arkkyl once again returning to the pen build, pen and attack speed build that we've seen a couple of times out of him.
It's not a bad idea considering Cherryo is just going to be running at you. As a Naja player, that's your only option. Like, you're either Armillionaire sashing in, or you're running straight into the thick of things, and Arkkyl has a lot of slowing potential and a lot of physical defense. Variety, though,
being juggled in the air, FrostiaK committing, but no further follow-up from Mouse. Cherryo, instead, was heading towards the back line to keep the carries at bay. And the Fire Giant was leashed for a second. I don't think by choice from either side. But it's a chance for Mouse to get some wall placements down here and clear up some of this vision problem that they've got around the Fire Giant.
I don't know if mousesports can be the ones to actually start this objective. It's still a 5-on-5. Red buff for Arkkyl. This late game Rom is going to be doing some serious damage if mousesports don't really figure out the angle that they want, but they're going to commit right on this blue buff.
Sash onto Variety, and he just eats it and then stuns Cherryo in response. Cherryo looks for the ring toss, just off the mark with that, but keep it on Quvo. He just got pinged out in the mini-map then. He was starting to make a cheeky little flank around the back. And when you look at the wall coverage again, Anatoly, the sentry wards from Dignitas are giving him so much good control around this.
mousesports know where QvoFred is, so they go on the complete opposite side. But QvoFred is awfully close to this backline. FrostiaK, Dardez, and BigManTingz are like, we don't want to commit right there.
And the big thing is that Mouse want to play around BigManTingz' carpet more than anything else. If he can find a good route onto a target and cause some madness to start going into effect, it can cause a lot of problems for Dignitas to get out of the danger zone and burst 2 targets down very quickly.
Normally when you have Discordia, you would like to have the Athena to guarantee that double hit from the Strife, but at the end of the day, even forcing out Variety from using his dash defensively allows the rest of your team just more control in that little area of the map to move forward.
QvoFred just jumped towards mid lane as Trixtank eats a bit of poke damage there as well. Dignitas fighted back, controlling the Fire Giant pit. More than anything to de-ward it and pull the Pyromancer to lure Mouse in again. QvoFred, though, is still round the side looking for a prime opportunity. Cherryo manages to catch Zyrhoes.
That's a very important pick, but look at the apple. It's just way off the mark. Zyrhoes will survive for the moment. QvoFred right on top of FrostiaK, gets the basic attacks that he needs. First victim, FrostiaK.
Absolutely hunted in the jungle there was FrostiaK by QvoFred, and now the rest of the fight is in a bit of tatters for Mouse, who are just trying to weather the storm now and disengage, knowing they lost their jungler. Beautiful play from Quvo, and it was off the engagement from Cherryo.
Patience is a virtue, and QvoFred is well known for this idea. Variety gets absolutely demolished. mousesports just made it a 4-on-4.
Yeah, that knockup from the Gus from Dardez was enough for the burst to come all the way through before he could hit the ground. Variety had no escape whatsoever there. Great play from Mouse.
a little awkward for Dignitas. Trixtank was behind the Pyromancer wall. Both Zyrhoes and Arkkyl a little bit too far to the right side, so they weren't not really in position to assist that kind of a matter. I think that Dignitas should have been able to at least find some return kills. With that many cooldowns being expended on your soul laner, if you don't capitalize it at the end of the day, well, now you're just delaying some objective secures.
Well, that whole fight that happened there, real-term Zero should have probably died there. BigManTingz, I'm not sure if he wanted the apple to hit onto Zyrhoes or he was hoping someone was going to walk around the corner, you know, from a defensive point of view to support Zyrhoes.
Or maybe he was considering
bouncing
just the bounce back off of words. But either way, BigManTingz need to be a little bit more accurate because there's not too many opportunities that Cherryo has to get any squishy.
Well, Salt.
Yeah,
specifically. Salt is probably one of the hardest ones to really pin down and find that window on. Now, they did get the Aegis out of Zyrhoes, which is on cooldown for another, well, just over a minute at the moment as it stands. And I think that's where you'll see both teams just play back, waiting for their relics to come off cooldown, if anything else.
Neither team wanting to aggress on the Fire Giant quite yet. Dignitas still with a 6,000 goalie, but there's no rush for them. They've been known to really stretch games recently against even some of these quote-unquote lesser teams just because of how disciplined they've become ever since that summer split.
We call it disciplined. I think it's a little bit on the scared side too. A bit of a mixture of both. You make some mistakes and you're like, well, do we want to do that mistake again? Well, let's not put ourselves in the situation to make that a mistake.
I can tell when the team is playing scared. Dignitas are definitely not playing scared to the point where they're not looking for plays. They're posturing as if they're going to do stuff. And this is the difference between a scared team and a team that's a little disciplined.
That's fair. That's fair to say too. 22 kills then in 30 minutes so far. The dance continues. No one's continuing to farm, but then again, there's not much farm really required. Everyone pretty much hitting that 6-item slot now. The power potion's coming through. As you can see, Variety on the screen now. He gets a good bit of CC chain off onto Cherryo that sets up some good poke. But you can see how tanky that Najar is here.
Yeah. Variety able to sustain himself up. And I was going to mention this earlier before the team fight where Dignitas' composition changed from the AoE sustain of the Sylvanas Terra to more individual sustain with Trixtank going for this Amaterasu Variety with the Ardeo. And that's going to hurt Dignitas' chances in some of these team fights.
I love the fact Cherryo's gone for the Witchblade here as well. I think this is going to be really impactful. We've not seen too much of it this season. Even though we've seen more double hunters or at least double auto attackers coming through, the likes of Sol and Rama. Definitely see that, you know, having that Witchblade to reduce their attack speed is going to make an impact.
Absolutely agree with you there, Hindu, man. QvoFred still waiting in the same exact position. Nika just kind of chunking some abilities through the wall to see if he can land that onto QvoFred. Very important timing window for him to try to exploit. Dashing around the corner is Trixtank. Cherryo gonna have to try to get out of that route, but Variety not gonna hit all those ticks.
Tell you what, both teams here just wishing they had someone like Apollo, someone that could just split push and then turn up to the fight later, Ratatoska, anything like that.
Yeah.
Just to allow to try and, well, break this siege of this dance of the Fire Giant, which neither team really feels successful about.
Well, all relics are available for both teams, but look at that wave.
Yeah,
it's
like
mid lane. 2 to 3 waves right
you know,
there.
I think if Dignitas see that properly, they could actually go for it, knowing that someone's going to go back to defend this wave soon. As soon as someone shows the face there, commit, right? The Fire Giant and try and force a fight.
And that'll be the enhanced Fire Giant, respawning after the 25 minutes. 2 members, actually, both Nika and Dardez, have committed the back end. Dignitas, oh, really unfortunate. QvoFred backed.
Yeah, they just backed at the same time, and I think with both QvoFred and Variety back in, the window kind of shuts the door on itself. Although, left-hand side minions are piling up, as you can see. The spectator just noticed it as well at the same time. Now, there's enough minions here to keep it slowed down for a moment or two. If Dardez goes over there now, Dig could initiate.
It's also the
if they see it.
It's also the brute minions for mousesports, so they're not too worried. Dardez has committed to the defense, has the passive to get back relatively quickly compared to most gods, but Variety doesn't want to wait any longer.
No, they're trying to get aggressive as quick as possible, but Cherryo has to ult, and he actually catches QvoFred there. QvoFred got his ultimate off in this team fight too, but Nika pulls in Trixtank. Cherryo getting relatively low, but he is a tank after all. The apple spreads to Trixtank too. The supports take most of the damage there for the team, and neither die.
No, because of all the sustain that they have within themselves. Trixtank using that mobility to just disengage. A lot of ultimates being used. 4 for 4. Variety's ultimate doesn't really count, so it's only Dardez now with his ultimate.
Yeah, 5 relics used on mousesports, 4 used on Dignitas too, and that's where we're starting to look at now. If these fights are going to go even when nobody dies, you've got to look at the difference in the relic situation, because then power plays can come through, be developed. BigManTingz' bead speed on cooldown is the biggest difference here.
That's exactly what I was going to point out, Hindu, is that QvoFred's eyes have lit up like a Christmas tree once he's going to be able to see BigManTingz. The blink will come up about a minute sooner than BigManTingz's beats.
See the pings on the left-hand side, recognizing those minions are still causing a problem for Mouse at that Phoenix on that left-hand side. And one bad team fight is a very quick Phoenix if the minions are not pushed up far enough or left unchecked. They'll take it on their own.
34 minutes into the game, Dignitas still posturing. Variety gonna stun out Cherryo and run away. It's just such a big poke, back and forth action between these two.
But kill threshold is definitely low. It just shows the sort of meta we're into here at the moment. A bit of sustain does come into play.
And one misstep from Variety from the Dardez knockup, he could be going closer to mousesports. And if you're holding W for a little bit too long, that could be the end of Variety's life.
The one thing I do like about the late games, though, is you get to see the builds of your favorite gods of what they should look like in the late game. Like, some items do get changed out as the game goes on. Doesn't happen a whole lot totally, but there is items that, like, well, this is an early mid-game. Now in the late game, I should probably look for something else.
Yeah, it depends. Like, if you wanted to go for Bloodforge for more power as opposed to lifesteal, Dardez can definitely make that switch up happen. Ichabod is one of these bridge items that you normally want to scrap for something else. As we're seeing Cherryo with a stun onto Trixtank, using the Fire Giant for the...
Oh, but guess what? He gets picked. Aegis on cooldown for Big Man. Snipes trying to come through from Arkkyl to secure the kill, but Big Man does a great job hiding and getting out. Throws out the apple too.
That Typhoon did nothing. FrostiaK all the way in the backline was expecting someone from Dignitas to keep committing the apple, the life of the party, the Typhoon being used, whereas Dignitas were just backing on out anyway.
Yeah, look at the window, though. The window that was left open of BigManTingz' beads being down was so small, and yet Qvo went straight to him. He gets the Aegis. Mouse use all their ultimates defensively. Dignitas are like, okay, you're going to do that? We can go for the fire. You've wasted everything defensively.
Very good recognition from Dignitas. This is what makes them such an elite team, is just their ability to stall out the game for any small window that they can burst wide open. They're not going to do it by brute force. They're going to be very methodical. They're going to give you a little cut here, a little cut there, and then until every other pour becomes like a fountain pouring out of you.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. They're surgical.
Murder most horrid with Anatoly on the broadcast. That's what it sounds like to me. Now with the Fire Giant, though, there's only Phoenixes left to go for, and well, let's see what the split happens here, because game one was a bit of a different story, but still similar enough to bring up here. Do they all pile in one side as a team, or do you look for the 3-1-1 split, or 3-2?
Knowing Dignitas, I'm not expecting a 5-way split. And it doesn't look like they're expecting it either. QvoFred in the mid lane, but Zyrhoes is going to stay committed to being grouped up. Doesn't have the Morrigan the way he did in the first game. Needs to use that soul passive, the heat, to get extra attack speed and magical power to really start obliterating these Firebirds.
Dignitas are now dancing around BigManTingz relics because they know the Aegis is on cooldown now, as we got it off in the last team fight, but they do know the beads are back up. So if they can find the beads, it's not going to prevent damage. So Qvo can jump on the back there one more time. Well, it'll get the beads in response, and it's all go, trying to just take down one man.
His blink's available, but he's stuck in the mid lane, keeping FrostiaK a little preoccupied. Still doing a good job poking. His Zyrhoes right onto Cherryo, but it's all a good 2-minute window. Dignitas are not going to rush anything quite yet with their Fire Giant remaining for 2 additional minutes.
Yeah, both teams do have a bit of sustain here, especially with the Baron on defense for Nika. If you can just get 1 CC, it's going to set the team up for some heals after the fact, which will keep them in good standing to stay in this lane too. Dignitas trying to just do their best with this 4-1 split so far.
I like the mind games that Cherryo is just forcing onto Dignitas. Every sash doesn't get beat, but that's going to allow Cherryo to eventually look for one.
Well, he did that against Zyrhoes earlier on, if you remember, when the apple missed from BigManTingz. That was the first time where he slashed and straight up with the ultimate, and Zyrhoes wasn't prepared for that. As there's a sash from Cherryo again, just keeping Variety pinned in place.
Wow, if Variety actually did get ultimate there, that would have probably been a kill, but forcing him to back, looking at his relics, he does have the upgraded teleport available, so no harm, no foul, but that's going to buy... That basically stripped mousesports' defense for a 1-minute duration. Dignitas had it for 2 minutes. Now it's only down to 1. 2 more waves attempts remain.
Yep, they've not been able to siege the base whatsoever. The poke is just too good so far from Mouse to keep them at bay. The slows, the consistent amount, but there's Variety now blinking in.
Going on
to
Zyrhoes.
Zyrhoes.
Zyrhoes taking way more damage than he bargained for. Cherryo committing way deep in the backline. Gonna get stunned out by Trixtank. The snipes from Arkkyl are good.
The snipes are good, but Trixtank actually got Variety killed there by walking in to him with the apple.
A 1-for-1. The QvoFred still has the ultimate and the blink if he wants to commit on the left-hand side. Remember, FrostiaK has his own relics and ultimate available as they were preoccupied in the mid still.
Funny enough, though, Cherryo was the real leasher for mousesports to set up a lot of the damage. And now they're going to have to rely a little bit more on this Discordia to go for the roots over and over again. The clear's still solid. And Dignitas won't be too confident with relics on cooldown.
A 3-on-3 on the left, a 1v1 in the mid lane. Dignitas are not stopping this split push, despite QvoFred having all the offensive capabilities of finding a pick. Who is he really going to go on? Beats is available for Big Man, FrostiaK, and Dardez.
So Dig going to fall back, lick their wounds, take the Gold Fury here. 11 kills to 13, 40 minutes in the game. Very similar to game one in a lot of ways, I'm telling.
Absolutely. Dignitas are slowly building a lead to the point that they can get those 3K potions, and maybe that's what they really want to be able to get.
Is that all they want?
With some of the recent changes to the 3K potions, persisting through death, an additional 1-minute duration, and the 3K damage potions doing extra structure damage, the defense potions receiving less structure damage.
Is this an upgrade for Mouse, do we feel? How is Mouse looking in this set? Is this to be expected? I guess not, because I don't think anyone came into this set expecting it to go this late, 2 games in a row at least.
Against such a top-tier team as Dignitas, this is a very solid performance from mousesports. They haven't had the opportunity to get any Phoenixes or do any Titan pushes quite yet, but to even last this long against an undefeated Dignitas roster is impressive in its own right.
But can they continue to capitalize on it? At the moment, though, they're not out of this game. These Phoenixes being up at this stage of the game, one team fight in their favor now. When I say in their favor, we need at least 2 or 3 members still alive. They could barrel down and take a Phoenix of their own. Maybe not the game, but at least a Phoenix if everything goes wrong for Dig.
Definitely a lot of damage from Mouse to get some of these objectives. And thus far, mousesports having to play defense for almost the entirety of this set.
Yeah. That's
what it feels like. They haven't really crossed too far deep in the Tier 2 towers, as all of Dignitas' Tier 2s are unscathed.
I do still say, though, I think Dignitas' compositions are not good at Phoenix Sieges. I mean, it wasn't in Game 1, it's not in Game 2, and I think that's one of the reasons why Mouse is still in this.
I don't know. I still think that Dignitas is solid. Soul and Rom. The problem is they're getting picked in untimely manner. Zyrhoes dying in that last Phoenix Siege prevents them from getting that left side Phoenix.
Fire Giant's going to go down, very similar to Game 1 of the second Fire Giant of the game. Well, third this will be.
Look how cute Variety is.
It's a panda.
He's so cute. How can you want to, like...
Death panda.
Yeah, you don't want to...
Like, the cutest pandas are the most dangerous. That's what it is. And that one is...
Never judge a book by its cover.
Look at Odin's panda skin. It's the same thing.
It's true.
He's cute, yeah, he's deadly.
Never judge a book by its cover.
So, this time, Dignitas going to change their mind. Not the left-hand Phoenix. Let's go towards the right-hand Phoenix. QvoFred still in the mid lane, and Mouse will send FrostiaK once again to make sure that that assassin doesn't get any free damage off.
And it doesn't feel like this 1v1 is really doing anything for either side. It's just making it a 4-on-4 on the right side. It's like, all right, we're just going to be AFK in the mid lane. Let's see what happens in the 4-on-4.
It's kind of the situation of both these junglers waiting for the beads to be on cooldown of the enemy carries, and then you'll see them turn up like, okay, now it's my time to shine.
Because Variety can blink in and stun, maybe force out the beads, and that's going to allow QvoFred for the follow-up. But where can mousesports force the beads? There is no blink out of Cherryo. It's up to him to get that stun into the ultimate and then, you know, hope for a really good follow-up.
The real play Cherryo's looking for is a sash onto a front line and then an ult to the back line, I guess, is the best play. But in that sort of window, you're going to see a beads of response. Dignitas are going to have chance to react potentially to that combination, but that is their best setup in all honesty.
Surprised to see that much of a commitment from QvoFred. Got the Mad Guy's cloak out of FrostiaK, but still have beads and the blink. And QvoFred without his ultimate could allow mousesports to maybe even siege outside the Phoenix, but this could be the bait idea out of Dig.
Zyrhoes is in mid. Zyrhoes is in mid, and he's going to start focusing towards that Phoenix. QvoFred's whacking away and trying to break the base and get away with his life.
Oh,
he's
Mantle of this Discord will find the mini stun shell out of Trixtank, allows QvoFred to breathe a little bit longer. Oh, that was so close to getting the middle Phoenix. Dignitas really tried to pull a fast one there.
But the Phoenix still stands, and the key is it's going to still regenerate now once more. So Dignitas, if anything, why don't they not look at 5-man siege in mid now just to get that poke damage off? Maybe is that possible?
Your guess is as good as mine, man, because between Arkkyl's ROM and Zyrhoes' soul, that just screams structure damage to me. And the fact that they still haven't all-in committed quite yet just to see what happens with their lead is a little surprising to me. But the way Dignitas have been playing since week 2 has been a totally different style than we've been known to expect of them in the spring, in the summer, and even in all of Season 4.
Yeah, Season 4, they were, well, favorites for the World Championship.
Sure, but I mean, like, they were never this methodical.
Yeah.
This is the, like, most patient I've ever seen Dignitas.
It's now been a split of 2 and 3 so far. Cuvo and Zyrhoes have started to sit towards mid lane a little bit more. Speed buff's just being stripped away at the moment from mousesports jungle, just for good measure. And the extra mobility that'll come in tow with it. Still, mousesports hold on.
Little damage onto QvoFred. Fire Giant is due to respawn in 2 minutes, so 1 more minute remaining for Dignitas to look for the sieges. Here comes one wave. They're going to have a second one. This left side Phoenix could take a little bit of poke.
This could be the fight of fights. Nika's going to pull in Variety all the way back to the Phoenix, and the apple will detonate and take down Variety. Cherryo then picks up Trixtank and takes him to the sky.
QvoFred in the mid lane getting the Phoenix. It's all a sacrificial play. Dignitas were not actually going to commit on the right side. They wanted to get that low health Phoenix in the mid instead.
So they get a Phoenix for the cost of 3 tanks. Well, 2 tanks and Arkkyl, I should say. And mousesports now find themselves in the kill lead as FrostiaK going to try and chase them through the jungle to stop them lazy backing. I don't think he's going to catch them in time.
Oh, he might
catch Cuvo.
Forced out the blink, but trades out with the last breath. FrostiaK, he's going to get soloed. What are you doing?
He jumped back in and he jumped back out. The rest of his team, though, barrel down the mid lane and take the middle tier 2 tower. Do they have it to take this Phoenix, Tully?
It's possible. Cherryo is going to be needing to commit. There's a minion wave. Zyrhoes on the left. QvoFred on the right. This Phoenix is going down quick.
Cuvo blinks in, goes to the backline, and Deathbane's through all the damage. Avoids the apple too. Nika used the life of the party, but still minions whacking away in the Phoenix. And that means backdoor protections are removed. mousesports answer back. The Phoenix got in the mid lane.
A 1-for-1, but QvoFred is not done yet. Does not have the ultimate, but might try to look for the follow-up
they're going to run. They're just going to manually run, and Cuvo's not going to allow that to happen. So that forces Cherryo to 180 sash. Ultimate available in 5 seconds time, along with the rest of the cooldowns for SPL.
A small play like that from QvoFred, delaying the back from mousesports, exactly, gets the fire giant. It was like, okay, there has to be some other like next level tactic here from Dignitas, and this is the tactic, getting the fire giant.
Just delaying them enough, and that's what Dignitas needed to do. Yes, they break the base of Mouse, but their own base was broken at the same time. Only thing separating these 2 teams now at 46 minutes is going to be this fire giant. Back to defense, Mouse go once more, but this time it's a little bit trickier.
Dignitas, some might say 3 times is the charm, maybe 4 times with the fire giant could be the charm for Dignitas. With the middle Phoenix down, the Titan is exposed, so they could split their efforts.
Yeah, well, this siege is a little bit easier because the middle Phoenix being down, it means that people can rotate through mid to the backline behind the Phoenixes.
Exactly.
Such as SPL, who can just dance around that area. And anyone trying to escape with low health who gets poked out can't do that anymore.
And that forces mousesports to mid wave, or to ward the mid lane.
Yep.
Ward between the left and the mid, and have to ward the right side as well.
So the group up from Dig is going to be to the left-hand side, as you'd expect. Furthest lane from the fire giant. And also the most tricky to defend overall when this Phoenix is down is one of the reasons they're going to do this. Because the only other option is the right-hand side, which is, well, technically closer to the fire giant and technically easy to defend because of that.
Well, grouping up now. I don't think they're going to split push, because if QvoFred goes all the way to that solo side, he's going to be too far away from the action. And there's not even a mini wave close enough to look for a split push opportunity. So he'll just keep the mid wave honest and in check. Try to get some of these fire minions closer to the Titan, and if you constantly chip away at this Titan, that can allow Dignitas to look for a play.
And here's the issue. The fire minions now being worked down. BigManTingz can't stay in the position he wants to between the middle and the left-hand Phoenix because he's not got the support of that middle Phoenix, so he's having to sit further back now, is Big Man, which means if we see Cherryo and the boys of Mouse engage, Big Man's going to have to do a bit more walking to that front line to get his damage off, which presents him with a bit of a risky situation.
No bounces from Cherryo. Not going to commit the stun quite yet. Good body blocks from Variety, trying to just prevent any sort of shenanigans out of Cherryo. And it's so difficult for mousesports to really engage. And FrostiaK got soloed again!
As that is all going on, Cherryo goes down at the same time as they all turn attention to see what happened to FrostiaK. The Phoenix is under pressure. That's down. Variety lives. Two Phoenixes are dead.
QvoFred jumps on in, forcing the airstrike out of Dardez. All Dignitas members are still alive, retreating to get that middle Phoenix that just respawn, going up into the sky. Must have been a misclick.
Not so sure about that one. Maybe he's a little bit worried about the extra damage about to come through, but mousesports lose their left-hand Phoenix. Don't know what happened with FrostiaK there, but I guess it's similar to what happened in the jungle with Cuvo earlier on. It must be the same sort of play.
A lot of damage. Without the Mad Guy's Cloak available, he could not survive that one. Great play from QvoFred, finding his second solo kill of the game. Next
question is, what did Dig do? They've not based. Variety did, but his teleport just came off cooldown. And I think that's what they're waiting for. 5-man barrel down mid, maybe.
Oh, yeah. It's time.
FrostiaK dead. Cherryo dead.
This is Dignitas' moment.
Well, they've been patient about it yet again, Tolly. They've been in this position too many times and thrown it a couple of times too many.
That's
for like him.
This Titan, though, sitting at 75% health. They're committing.
And they should be able to take it down and take the game away from mousesports. Yes, they hung on with their new roster changes, but the result at the end of the day is still the same. Dignitas get the 2-0.
Still undefeated. Still the powerhouse out of Europe we are expecting them to be. Still trying to get some redemption from their summer split.
There is good news for them. You know what that is? They don't necessarily have to go to the LAN to make worlds this time. And that was the issue Dig had last time, right?
Yeah.
Works out well that way. So EU fight for the top 2 spots in Europe. They automatically qualify. The other teams have to play through the placements, and that's where Mouse are going to be going with how the season's going for them. How do you feel after seeing the first look of this new Mouse roster this week?
It was really hard to tell because Dignitas are a hard test to go through. This is like one of the final bosses to go through. And the fact that they didn't stumble within the first 30 minutes shows that there's a lot of hope and potential out of this roster for the future.
You guys at home, who do you think was MVP for that game? Obviously, it's a Dig player. I'm going to ask you again. Who do you think?
QvoFred. 2 double kills, 2 solo kills onto FrostiaK, really sealing the deal.
Yeah, those double kills did come up big, but it's you guys at home that get to choose who gets the MVP vote. That's it, though, I guess, from me and you.
Yeah.
Let's get it over to the desk to break down that, well, an hour and 3 hours set. I don't know how long it was. Let's go.
Wow, Hindu's sense of time has evaporated, apparently, inside that set, but certainly it has not for Dignitas. They continue to look very strong here in the online phase of the fall split, grabbing yet another win over Mouse. And Taco, what was it that you felt like was the sticking point? Because it's hard to find one in a 50-minute match, right? That is a war of attrition.
It kind of just felt the same as Game 1, a very similar vibe, at least, between Dignitas and Mouse. And
maybe a little closer, but yeah, I'm with you. Yeah.
Cuvo was just all over the place. I think that was the big thing for me. And it didn't really start dissipating for Mouse underneath those Phoenix defenses up until FrostiaK kept challenging Cuvo. I think that one particular instance towards the latter part of the match where he blinks in onto Cuvo, and Cuvo wasn't even interested in fighting then. He was trying to back to his base, ends up with the solo kill, and then it happens again in the mid lane while Dignitas are sieging underneath the left-hand Phoenix. I just feel as though had it not been for Cuvo consistently finding picks onto members like FrostiaK and some of the other carries from Mouse combined alongside of the pressure that Dignitas were able to then find inside of the Phoenix sieges, none of that would have been possible without Cuvo.
Not at all, and he seems to continually get this Arkkyl pick as well, Taco, and just kind of wreak havoc on it, and to the point where he ends up getting selected as the MVP by those out there in Mixer Land. One more time, I think y'all got this one correct. And he did such a good job of it. Taco, we talked about this during picks and bans, right? Where Mouse ban away the Chernobog, and they select the Baron first overall, I believe is how it went, right? And then immediately afterwards, the Dignitas pick up that Circuit. So now the question becomes, do they get enough value out of this Baron in the solo lane for Nika to make it worth allowing over the Circuit or even not picking up that Chernobog? Do you think they got enough out of the Baron?
Probably not. And I think that Mouse would have to agree with that one whenever they get a chance to watch this set back. Probably come to the same conclusion. I just don't think that the Baron can really make up for the pressure that Qvo had on this Circuit. It wasn't even necessarily Qvo going in every time and finding a kill. It was more so just his presence overall.
Right.
Being there and just threatening Mouse with the idea that maybe he's going to commit, maybe he's going to flank around the backside. You never really know what to expect out of a Circuit. Her mobility is just so problematic to try and handle, especially amongst the chaos of late game team fights where one fight really can mean the end of a match.
And that's a good point about it, because it's not as if there were a ton of kills going on in this game.
No.
Again, it was when I was relatively low in the kill count, but it was the sort of pressure, the presence that QvoFred was able to find there off that Circuit. And in particular, he was able to sort of answer back to FrostiaK, who I think had a relatively strong early game this time. He looked good on the Susano right out of the gates one more time, only this time I think they sort of were able to have that stopgap on him, keep the game even throughout that mid game, and then come back through and start getting towards sieging.
There were also too many instances, I think, where Dignitas and Mouse would both wind up with a big teamfight brawl. No one would end up dying, but Dignitas would always return to the objectives just a little bit before Mouse, and I think that also posed its own set of issues for Mouse, because by the time they arrive to the party, then they're a little bit too late. They've already used their primary cooldowns in terms of ultimates and the like to try and confirm those kills the first go-around, and it didn't really pan out for them, so now you're just stuck with 5 carries who, what's your initiating factor, Cherryo? And you're kind of needing the presence of that Phoenix, which is why we saw Mouse then choosing to default back to hiding underneath their objectives in order to look to punish Dignitas from that point forward.
That's a good point. Sounds like they couldn't quite make that particular comp work out for them in that game. And Dignitas remain undefeated, sort of at the top of everyone else in Europe, kind of looking up towards him. If we look at those standings, yeah, 6-0, 11 in that plus-minus on the differential as well. So Dignitas looking very, very difficult for everyone else to try and keep up with. At least 2 losses differentiating them between everyone else and Energy E United on the other side, North America, trying to keep that up as well.